Well, it's another playoff win for the Patriots, and they are now off to Denver to face the Broncos in the AFC Championship. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Boston Balling. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, and what a weekend it was. All the suspense building up to this Patriots home playoff game against the Texans after a competitive win over the Chargers the week prior. And after the Chargers game in the wild card round, what I primarily had taken away was that the Patriots defense was really dominant. This was a defense that if they continued to play that way, they would be a hard team to beat. And certainly the defense definitely did its job in the Patriots win over the Texans in the divisional round. And they caused quite the number of turnovers. CJ Stroud did not look super sharp. And on today's show, I'm going to be going over my biggest takeaways from this game. But first of all, this game had a lot of high stakes, not only because it was for the chance to win a trip to the AFC Championship game, but also with the unfortunate news surrounding the Broncos and Bo Nix suffering a season-ending injury. Now, obviously, I hate that for him. You never want to see injuries like that happen, but due to where the AFC is right now, it felt like after that injury happened that the AFC was wide open, that whoever came out of this Patriots-Texans game would have a very strong chance of winning the AFC and going to the Super Bowl. Now, obviously with Bo Nix, it was a really unfortunate injury, and the circumstances and the way it happened, you never, ever, ever want to see that happen. He suffered a broken bone in his ankle that ultimately will require surgery and end the season. He came down with the issue in the overtime victory over the Bills on Saturday. I mean, talk about a game. That was such a fun game that truly went down to the wire. The Broncos ended up winning in OT. Heartbreaking again for the Bills, but essentially what happened was Bo Nix took a knee to set up that field goal at the end of the game, and ultimately he ended up getting hurt, and the news came out after the game that it was season ending and everybody was super confused. So that's heartbreaking. Jarrett Stidham is their backup quarterback for the Broncos. He's the guy who is slated to start this game, but they also did sign veteran quarterback Ben DiNucci to their practice squad. He spent time with the Broncos and under head coach Sean Payton in the past, so he is already familiar with the team's offensive system, which likely led to the Broncos deciding he was the guy to bring in. So obviously that security blanket makes sense. Peyton already announced that backup Jarrett Stidham is going to start the game with Sam Ehlinger backing him up, but they probably just wanted to get a veteran quarterback in that quarterback room to help out this week at practice, at least, while the Broncos prepare for a game in which they won't have their starting quarterback. They are very confident in Jarrett Stidham, who ironically was drafted by the Patriots. So this is kind of a full circle moment for him. But the question is going to be, is he going to be able to step up in that high stakes of a game? Now, that'll be interesting on the Broncos side. Now, you look at the Patriots side, and they played their first two playoff games at home. Now they're going on the road to truly be tested. This is a Patriots team that has played well on the road all season. So in that regard, I like our chances of being able to go into Denver and capitalize. But the Patriots don't have a great track record in Denver in the postseason. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be thinking about over the course of this game. But major takeaways from the Patriots victory on Sunday. Now, this was a messy game on both sides. No matter how you slice it, it was not a pretty game offensively for either team. The first two quarters saw Drake Maye fumble the ball 3 times, losing one and throwing an interception on a Hail Mary. The only reason, and I mean literally the only reason, that the Patriots were up 21-10 at halftime was because CJ Stroud was even worse than Drake Maye, throwing 4 interceptions in the first half. I actually joked on social media that it's possible that CJ Stroud was betting on the Patriots. But all jokes aside, he looked pretty bad. And that was why that game was going the way that it was. If he had been 100% on his A game, the Patriots do not win that game with how tough things were and how rough of an offensive showing it was for New England. The weather was also less than ideal too. It was cold, it was snowy, which again, the Patriots are used to, but the Texans certainly are not. And so that was a factor going into this game that I wondered about with the Texans was how were they going to be able to adapt to that Foxborough snowy weather in January? Obviously not well. With showers falling inside Gillette Stadium, the second half truly wasn't much better than the first half. Drake Maye and the Patriots offense struggled again, and they were allowing the Texans back into the game. Mike Vrabel's team entered the fourth quarter clinging to a 21-16 lead. Didn't score at all in the third quarter. And Drake Maye wasn't nearly perfect at all in this game, especially against the toughest pass rush in the NFL. But in the fourth quarter, he stepped up in a pivotal moment, hitting Kayshon Boutte, who made an unbelievable catch, by the way. That was absolutely an unreal one-handed grab for him for a game-changing touchdown to ultimately lead the Patriots to a 28-16 win. So a season after winning just 4 games, the Patriots now head to Denver for the AFC Championship. And it's crazy how much of a turnaround you can make. And it's crazy how much of a factor coaching is in that. It really shows that the Patriots hit on their coaching hire when they brought in Mike Vrabel, because not every coach can come in and handle turning a team around that much. I mean, you just saw the Bills fired Sean McDermott after they fell short again, because the Bills have so much talent on that team, but they continuously fall short every year. And a lot of people thought that with the Chiefs not in the playoffs this year, that this would be a good chance for the Bills to be able to take advantage and go to the Super Bowl. And the fact that they fell short again, they felt like a change was needed. So they got rid of head coach Sean McDermott. I've spoken with a couple of Bills fans who aren't happy about that, but coaching really does play a factor. And the Bills front office probably thought that it was time for a change. The Patriots, after a season of Jarrett Maye, felt like he wasn't cut out for the job. He wasn't really elevating the team. The Patriots weren't getting any better. He wasn't getting any better as a head coach. So they felt like the future was not going to involve Jarrett Maye. So the Patriots pivoted immediately. They just gave him one season. They said, look, you had a chance. You couldn't handle it. So we're going to move on. And they moved on. They hired an experienced head coach and somebody who truly not only hit on his draft picks, because the Patriots have some young emerging talent and guys to be really excited about, but he also has truly helped to turn this team around in a way that a lot of people didn't expect in year one. And that's the crazy part about the Patriots being in the AFC Championship right now, because this was supposed to be a rebuilding season. There were not a lot of high expectations for this team, and myself included certainly thought that the Patriots maybe would win a few more games than they did last season. I had them winning 8 or 9 games in this season. I did not expect them to win more than that. And sure enough, they surprised me extremely and surprised a lot of people by saying we can be competitive. And people can go back to their schedule and saying that their schedule was pretty weak. But then you look at where they're at now and how many wins they compiled this season and the fact that they have just won 2 playoff games. It's really hard to argue at this point that they aren't legitimate. That being said, they definitely do have things they need to iron out before the AFC Championship game. I didn't feel that the offense was any better than it was a week ago against the Chargers. They just made more plays than the Texans did, and they got lucky that they happened to catch CJ Stroud in a game where he wasn't at his best. That's simply what it comes down to. The defense deserves its credit for putting pressure on CJ Stroud and for helping to force those turnovers. But the offense still needs to be a lot better. The Patriots do like to get aggressive, and I do appreciate the offensive play calling being aggressive. Josh McDaniels got aggressive on the Patriots' second drive, and it really paid off for this team. The Pats were faced with a 4th and 1 from their 28-yard line, and Maye and the offense stayed on the field. And I remember saying in my head, please go for it here. It's early in the game, I know, but this would be a really aggressive move to go for it, and I like it. Instead of running the ball, and then this was obviously after they decided they were going to go for it, and I was super excited when I saw that the offense stayed on the field, Maye dropped back and hit a wide open pop Douglas, who sprinted 28 yards into the end zone for a touchdown at 9:35 of the first quarter. And that was great because not only did they go for it and take the chance on 4th and 1 early, but they also let Maye throw and believed in him and believed in his arm. That's only going to help with his confidence moving forward. The Patriots got within striking distance thanks to Rhamondre Stevenson, who, by the way, really has stepped up for this Patriots team after his injury. He has been so good. And the running back duo in general of him and TreVeyon Henderson deserves a lot of credit this season. Henderson didn't necessarily have his best game yesterday either, dealt with a little bit of an injury in which he came out of the game, but then ended up coming back in. But Stevenson really has stepped up. The running back caught a pass for 9 yards and then ran for a gain of 20. And the Patriots dug themselves into a 3rd and 14 hole, but then Drake hit Stefon Diggs for 13 yards. And then on the next play, the Patriots took a 7-0 lead. So the aggressiveness I really like with this Patriots team. And I like the fact that they trusted their guys and they trusted Drake Maye and they trusted his ability to actually throw the football. Then another thing about this game that was a weakness for the Patriots was 3rd down defense. So Gillette Stadium was rocking after the Patriots' first touchdown, but the Texans were quick to answer because the Patriots' 3rd down defense hurt them significantly on this drive. So on 3rd and 8, CJ Stroud hit tight end Dalton Schultz for a 42-yard gain to bring Houston to the 27-yard line. You cannot allow that big of a gain on 3rd down. You just can't. On 3rd and 6, Stroud hit Christian Kirk for 10 yards, and Carlton Davis was then flagged for a face mask penalty, which set up a 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. So this was all encompassing the fact that the Patriots couldn't make a stop on 3rd down. That's something that they need to improve on moving forward. And it looked like the Texans scored a touchdown on 3rd and 1, but an illegal shift penalty took the touchdown off the board. So then on 3rd and 6, Stroud's pass attempt was incomplete. And then Ka'imi Fairbairn hit the 25-yard field goal. So the Patriots led 7-3 at 5:26 of the first quarter. So obviously, the defense was a little bit messy on that specific drive, something that they do need to get better in. But overall, over these last couple games, the defense has certainly been part of the story in terms of really positive factors for this Patriots team. So then after that, essentially, the offense got a little bit lucky. The Patriots' 3rd drive was a disaster, but it could have been worse than it was because the offense didn't gain a yard on 1st or 2nd down. And then on 3rd and 10, Danielle Hunter strip sacked Maye at 4:34 of the first quarter. The ball ended up bouncing near the end zone, but Patriots left tackle Will Campbell pounced on it to recover the fumble. So the offense lost 19 yards on that play, but still was able to punt the ball back to Houston. So obviously a little bit of luck there at the end, but that could have been a little bit more of a disaster. So far, obviously, big takeaways. Lucky for the Patriots. The Texans offense looking a little bit messy, but they were able to convert on 3rd down, which was a big thing that the Patriots defense did struggle with. And Carlton Davis stepped up for the Patriots. So he was signed to give the Patriots a legitimate number 2 cornerback opposite Christian Gonzalez, who, by the way, we are very lucky to have here. He was huge in the game yesterday, too. Although the veteran played well in coverage this season, he didn't have an interception, and that changed in yesterday's game. In the first quarter, with 1:43 to go, he made a highlight reel interception, diving to catch a CJ Stroud deep pass, which was a big moment for the Patriots because the Texans were on the 36-yard line at that point and coming off of a 4th down conversion. So obviously in a big spot in this game, Carlton Davis stepped up big time, and I was really happy for him because this was a big moment, and in the playoffs, what better way to record an interception than that? So that shows that having a balance of veterans mixed with young talent can really benefit a team. Just a reminder, to make sure that you subscribe to Boston Balling on any podcast platform. And I will be here with new episodes Monday through Thursday as much as I can, talking about each of the major Boston sports teams with some other special episodes mixed in there as well. So make sure you go back in and tune in to last week's episodes, where you can hear part of my interview with 2004 World Series champion Doug Minkiewicz, as well as other exciting stuff, including an interview with Lexi Hastings, who's a former UConn softball player who was recently drafted by the Women's Pro Baseball League to the Boston team. So you can check that out on any podcast platform as well. So make sure you continue to tune in, continue to subscribe. I will be talking all things Boston sports. So make sure you're along for the ride. So while the Patriots pulled out a win against the Texans on Sunday, I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a really good performance by the Patriots. But what I will say is that they made big plays when they needed to, and that ended up ultimately being a big difference maker in this game. Ball security, for example, ended up costing the Patriots. Ball security for Drake Maye was an issue in the first quarter, and it cost them the lead. And the Patriots didn't take advantage of Davis's incredible interception because Drake Maye fumbled the ball again. And that time they didn't get so lucky, and Houston recovered it. So that's something that needs to be emphasized in practice this week. Protect the football. Big storyline from this game. No dropped passes, no fumbles. Hang on to the football. Following the turnover, the Patriots started at the 18-yard line, and Rhamondre Stevenson gained 5 yards. And then on the next play, Drake Maye took off and dove for a first down. But then again, that's when the ball was knocked loose by Houston defensive tackle Tommy Togiai, and then Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair recovered the ball. So again, another instance of not being able to protect the football. That became an issue in this game. And then Houston took over as Maye fumbled the football twice in 3 offensive snaps. So if that keeps happening, definitely a huge cause for concern. The Texans then took the momentum and ran with it, taking a 10-7 lead as Stroud hit Christian Kirk for a 10-yard touchdown at 12:57 of the second quarter. So obviously things were just not going very smoothly. Just a lot of ups and downs of emotions in this game because the Patriots offense continued to struggle in the first half, but the defense didn't. So while you were really excited about the defense, you were also frustrated with the offense, and it was just kind of this limbo of mix of emotions. That's why Vrabel's team retook the lead in the second quarter, essentially, was because of the defense. Because following another Patriots punt, Marcus Jones intercepted Stroud on the Texans' first play and ran back 26 yards for the pick-6 touchdown. Edge rusher Kayshon had a free rush on the Texans' quarterback. And instead of taking the sack, he attempted to throw the ball as he got hit. That ended up proving to be costly as the Patriots took a 14-10 lead with 10:59 to go in the second quarter. So when you look back at all the storylines from this game, this is me basically presenting the storylines and presenting scenarios and examples of when they happened. But the defense was definitely a highlight of this game again and really helped the Patriots win this game. And early on in the game, I was thinking, wow, this feels like the type of game where they might need a defensive touchdown. And sure enough, it happened. Again, on the next drive, the Patriots recorded another interception. This was all going back to CJ Stroud and him also struggling in this game. At 8:37 of the second quarter, Patriots rookie safety Craig Woodson intercepted Stroud on a deep ball to Xavier Henderson, and that marked Stroud's second interception in 3 pass attempts. So again, obviously Stroud didn't have it, but the Patriots defense also looked insanely sharp. While the defense was playing great, it wasn't carrying over to the offense because Maye's group then went 3 and out again despite getting the ball back at midfield. So they couldn't capitalize on good field position, which over the last couple of weeks has been very frustrating with this Patriots offense. Then it was the receiving core that became the storyline of the game after that because they put the Patriots ahead. After the offense had been struggling, at the end of the second quarter, it finally clicked for Drake Maye and his receiving core because the Patriots took that 21-10 lead at 3:12 of the second quarter when Maye hit Stefon Diggs, who made a really good contested catch in the end zone. I've been waiting for these huge moments from Stefon Diggs. We've gotten them sporadically throughout the season where he comes up big in a big moment. This was certainly a big moment for him to come up big and really showed that veteran experience of, hey, I'm here. Then Kayshon Boutte truly was the reason that the Patriots were even there in the first place, because he kicked off the drive with a 25-yard catch to move the team to the 28-yard line. And then 2 plays later, he caught a 17-yard pass to set up the 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. So that was a good drive thanks to those two in particular, Boutte and Diggs. And then on defense, Davis intercepted Stroud for the second time in the next series. And then at 2 minutes of the second quarter, that got the Patriots the ball back, but they didn't add to their lead. Went into halftime feeling good. They had momentum. And again, Carlton Davis, going back to him being a big factor in this game. Then in the second half, the Texans closed the gap. So they felt like they were still in this game. They opened up the second half with one of their best drives of the game as a whole. Stroud hit Xavier Hutchinson for 23 yards. And then on the next play, it looked like Hutchinson fumbled and Jones recovered. But officials ruled the receiver down by contact. So then the Texans proceeded to move the chains and march downfield. They made it to the 7-yard line. But on 3rd and 2, Marcus Jones, again, coming up big, broke up a pass intended for Kirk. And then they kicked a field goal. So the lead was 21-13. So that ended up being huge in this game, that the Patriots on that drive were able to hold them to a field goal. Then there were more turnovers. A new half, same issues for the Patriots. Nothing really got fixed. Following Houston's field goal, Drake Maye fumbled for the 4th time. And for the 2nd time, the Texans ended up recovering. This all happened at 8:16 of the 3rd quarter. On 3rd and 6, Anderson strip sacked the Patriots quarterback. And then the Houston defense recovered the football. This was bad because Houston took over in field goal range at the 33-yard line, and 5 plays later, they also coughed up the ball. So while it seemed way less than ideal for the Patriots and the field position at that point for the Texans, it ended up being okay because Christian Gonzalez, our guy, forced a fumble at 5:30 of the 3rd quarter on Texans running back Woody Marks, with Woodson recovering the ball. So obviously more sloppy offense, another story of this game. The Texans then inched closer again because the Patriots offense went 3 and out after another defensive turnover. And then when the Texans got the ball back, they made another charge as the Patriots lead shrank again. Davis ended up being flagged for defensive pass interference on a 3rd down incomplete pass. That penalty pushed Houston up 21 yards to the 35-yard line. And then Anthony Jennings actually sacked CJ Stroud on 3rd down, but the Texans still were able to get a 51-yard field goal in which Fairbairn made, and that was at 1:32 of the 3rd quarter. So at that point, the game was close. It was nerve-wracking. Then Kayshon Boutte, who I already mentioned before, one of the big factors in this game, stepped up again. The Patriots offense desperately needed some life, and they got that in the 4th quarter thanks to Boutte. Following Houston's 3rd field goal, the Patriots entered the 4th quarter clinching to their lead, trying to hold on to it desperately. And then at the 12:58 mark of the 4th quarter, Drake Maye connected with Boutte for a 32-yard touchdown that had Gillette Stadium going nuts. And this catch was crazy. I watched it over and over again. I was so excited. It was awesome. Just like the Texans, the Patriots got over midfield thanks to a defensive pass interference penalty, as Stingley was flagged while covering Kayshon Boutte on an incomplete pass on 3rd down. So that certainly helped the Patriots out on this drive, but some previous calls helped the Texans, so it kind of evens out. So that ended up giving the Patriots 17 yards, and then 3 plays later, Maye went back to Boutte, and the receiver ended up being Stingley for the much-needed score to give the Patriots a 28-16 lead. So ultimately, Boutte beat the defense there. Patriots took a lead they wouldn't relinquish, and that's all the Patriots needed as the defense ended up holding strong the rest of the game. So I know I just basically went through a lot of aspects of this game and actually specifically what happened. But biggest takeaways here are the receiving core stepped up when they really needed to. And that was nice to see because a lot of what we've heard about from this Patriots team or what we've watched is the running back duo stepping up. But in this instance, it was the receiving core that really did their jobs primarily and stepped up in big moments, making big plays for Drake Maye and the Patriots offense. But the offense certainly needs to be better. They need to be able to protect the football. And yes, the refs definitely missed some calls in this game. There were calls that could have been made on both sides that weren't. So that's definitely a factor. And you do usually see that happen quite a bit in games with officiating where the refs miss a call and people aren't happy about it. But you get that in any game. Can't really blame that here. Will I say the Patriots had a good win? No. I mean, they won the game. And again, a win is a win. I'll obviously take it. I'm happy about it, but it was messy. And if the Patriots are going to go on the road to Denver this weekend, regardless of whether their starting quarterback is playing or not, they need to be better. No doubt about it. No better sense of the word. They need to be better. And they know that. The offense has acknowledged it. Drake Maye has acknowledged it. But the defense made plays when they needed to. And they were able to force a lot of turnovers out of the Texans. And that ultimately was what made the difference here. So the biggest thing that I am looking to moving forward is, can the offense be a little bit more refined? And while I know they have the capability of making the big plays when they need to, can they continue throughout the game to make those types of plays? So that's one of the biggest things that I am going to be looking at for this Patriots team when they go into this game this weekend, as well as, is the defense going to be able to continue to play at as high of a level as it was? And lastly, how are the Patriots going to be able to respond to playing a road playoff game? Because for Drake Maye and company, obviously a group with a lot of young talent, you can say they may have trouble responding on a postseason stage because it's a huge place for error because of the fact that there's a lot of pressure. It's high stakes. Even though you're on your home field, you could still make those errors and feel the pressure that comes with that and get nervous and not think things through, and your on-field decision making could be impacted. So going into that game against the Chargers, I was curious how the Patriots were going to be able to handle that pressure that comes with that type of game that's that high of stakes. And they were able to pull it out. Then they pulled it out again against the Texans. But now it's a different environment. They don't have the crowd on their side because it's the Denver crowd. And while they've played well on the road overall this season, completely different scenario when it's a playoff environment and it's win and go to the Super Bowl or lose and go home. So they are going to have to be prepared for that type of pressure and that type of adversity. And if there's any coach I would want to bring this team through that, it's Mike Vrabel, who understands that adversity really well and understands the pressure that comes with being in a big playoff game. So he's the guy that I definitely trust when it comes to leading this team. And I'm really excited to see how this game goes. But the offense definitely does need to be a lot better, because if the offense is playing very messy and sloppy like that, the minute that they face a defense who is playing at its best, that is not going to pan out well. So be better defensively. The receivers, hopefully they continue to step up. We're definitely going to need a little bit more from the running back room going into Denver. The Patriots weren't able to establish as much of the run game as I would have liked to see them do in Sunday's game. So hopefully they can establish a little bit more of that, because that run game was one of their best qualities this season. That was one of the biggest things that got the Patriots as far as they have gotten. That was one of their strongest suits between Henderson and Stevenson. So I really want to see that duo continue to step up here big going into this upcoming weekend's game. But that attitude and mindset that this Patriots team has, we all we got, we all we need, that seems to be motivating them, working for them. And if you think about it, this is a Patriots team that doesn't have a lot of pressure on them. They are going in with the expectations that they aren't going to win these games. A lot of people doubting them this year. Nobody thought they were going to be this good. People even doubted them even after the regular season because of their schedule. So they should just play and have fun. And if they win or lose, obviously my mood will be determined by whichever outcome it is. But if they lose and we look back on the season, it's hard to not feel proud of what they accomplished this season. So we'll have to see what happens this weekend, but go Pats always. A trip to the Super Bowl on the line would be so much fun to see this Patriots team back in the Super Bowl. So hopefully they play well. Hopefully they can step up offensively, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Subscribe to Boston Balling on any podcast platform for more cool guests along the way and Boston sports talk. I'll catch you next time. Go Pats.